You going to play the video, John?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that.
See how easy it is.
Optimize for video.
Oh, boo.
Welcome to the ITT Hub 2022.
So I'm Carlo Zoccali, I'm show director here at ITT Hub.
Paul was talking to a couple of guys from Renault. 2 years ago, they were nowhere. Now, 26-ton truck in 2 years. The technology is here now. Why is it that the government target for reducing emissions from the heavy sector is to have those polluting vehicles out by 2035? The government needs to do more. And I know that's going to be painful, but not half as painful as climate change if we get this wrong.
So do tell me, Graham, what on earth are National Grid doing at the ITT Hub here in Farnborough?
The energy system is the cleanest it's ever been, and it's getting cleaner. But it's getting cleaner mainly by variable renewables, so wind and solar. Because now the grid isn't perfectly clean. We will be clean as a completely clean grid by 2035. So people talk about net zero in 2050. My world is 2035, right?
Word.
Yeah.
Wow, well done, Generate Media. I haven't seen that one. That's cool.
No, first time we've all seen it, right?
I love it. Oh, Johnny's on mute. Johnny's on mute.
What an
so
answer.
happy.
Can you hear me now?
You.
We're a very polished lot, aren't we? So good afternoon and welcome to the EV Cafe. It's our favourite time of the month where we get to open the digital doors to our wonderful EV Cafe. However, it's also that time of the year where we get to open the actual physical doors as well, because today, as you can see, I am broadcasting live from the AFP annual conference at the British Motor Museum. I'm looking at Paul with a
As am I. As am I. Yes, I'm here too. But I've just got the backdrop and all that.
I'm going to go see Paul in just a moment. But sorry, no acronyms either. So that's Association of Fleet Professionals. And we'll put a link in the chat box shortly. So yeah, Paul is in the room behind me. I'm going to go join him in a moment. So we're not at Johnny or Paul Cafe Central Head Office, otherwise known as our homes. And I would normally say it makes for a nice change, but we have been very busy bees as of late, attending and exhibiting at Fully Charged Live, the ITT Hub, and some other events in Farnborough in the past 2 weeks, which we are going to tell you all about this afternoon. By the way, our stand isn't usually this quiet. Especially as I have cookies just to the side of me. I'm definitely going to have one of them in a moment, but it's because the conference is actually currently going on at the moment and there'll probably be a mad rush in about half an hour, hence why I'm going to go join Paul. Anyway, my name is Jonny Berry and I'm the chief barista today at the cafe. However, in my day job, I am the head of decarbonisation at Laguna Vehicle Solutions, formerly known as Hitachi Capital Vehicle Solutions. And as always, we would like to warmly welcome you to today's session. We hope you enjoyed as much as we enjoyed putting it on for you. Therefore, make sure you've got yourself a freshly brewed coffee in hand. I haven't got my EV Cafe mug because I'm not at home. Because for the next hour, we're going to chat about show season. So, Sarah, over to you. Who do we have on this afternoon?
Show season. I love that. That's so cute. So we're firstly going to welcome Dean from the AA, Dean Hedger. He's one of our amazing sponsor partners who support the show and help us to grow our EV Cafe community. And then we're going to have Carlo from the ITT Hub. Now, he'll be giving us an overview of everything we learned, but also his highlights, I hope. And then we've got Richie. He's a real sort of wallflower. You wouldn't know him. He's from Fully Charged Live, so he'll introduce himself. I'm going to do the news. We're going to open the floor to our highlights, our best bits, our worst bits, the bits that worried us about the things we heard and saw. And I think the hour's going to fly by. It's 5 past already.
It's probably me now, is it?
Why not?
Why not? Why not? So, of course, Carlo's struggling to get in, but we'll get him in a minute.
We can help.
So I'm Paul Kirby. I am the van man. I run a business called EV Essentials in my day job. I'm a consultant. I do deliver training and I do media type stuff to promote the transition to electric vans in particular. So, and today we have our sponsors that support us so well. My Energy, British made awesomeness. I love that phrase. It's one of my favorite. A really cool brand of home in particular charger. Obviously can use in the workplace as well. And it's wrapped up with solar and information and data and insight into how you can progress to charge your vehicle in a renewable way. And of course, we've got Geotab. Geotab are also here with us at the AFP conference. But they provide telematics, giving insight into the transition to electric vehicles, which is really, really helpful because we do need data to be able to turn into insight to make that difference. And then finally, of course, we're supported by the lovely AA. The AA are giving power to the electric drivers. Dean's going to be much happier with me today. Power to the electric drivers, but not just breakdown and recovery, but many more things as well in terms of charge point support, even repair and maintenance of, or that type of thing, supporting the charge point deployment across the UK, which is really important. Making sure those things work when we turn up is awesome. So that's it. That's us. That's me. That's the sponsors. And over to JC.
Paul Kirby, paid by the word.
Absolutely. Well, I need to carry on talking then.
Hello, I'm John Curtis, JC. I am the mail boy, so my job here is to ask the questions that everybody else is too slow to think of. Questions from the audience should go into the Q&A tab. So we have a Q&A tab at the bottom. Stick your question in there if you've got one for our speakers, for the panel, and we'll do our very, very best to get to them during this session. If you've got general chit chat, keep that in the chat box. The clue's in the title, it's chat. But Q&A, something for the panelists, whack it in there. I'll do my best to ask those questions and make sure that you get the answers you need. Sam, all yours. Oh, best question of the day can win an EV Cafe mug. You know you want it. Something like that. Do it now. Q&A. Sam.
I think Sass had a hand up. Sass?
I was just going to say, I love the chat box. So I'll be there. Keep an eye. If I look like this, it's because I'm answering you. It's not that I'm ignoring what's happening on screen. And I'll be taking notes throughout as well. So again, one of the best questions that gets asked always makes it through to the show writer.
Nice. And I'm not paid by the word, so my name's Sam. Yeah, Sam Clark, also the Chief Vehicle Officer at GridServe Sustainable Energy. So that's my day job, looking at infrastructure across the whole country. Paul's busy talking to somebody else. That's nice. That's very distracting.
I was trying desperately
Johnny
to interrupt you, but I failed because I was on mute. It was a big failure. There we go.
Well, that's called karma, and it's a
On
bit
the other side.
Anyway, very, very pleased to be here. It's great to talk about the events that we've already been to and other people and what's coming up as well. So it's obviously a very important element of everything that we do as an industry to try and showcase the best and brightest. So it's great to have it as a topic. Yes, Sarah, your hands up again.
Oh, it is. I'm being so polite today. It's uncharacteristic. I loved the shows because I was able to walk around, having jumped the fence from physical infrastructure to sort of the software that underpins all the infrastructure, and just see how relevant that is. People are all talking about we need to roll out as much kit as possible and look at all these vehicles that are coming. And I said I said this live on stage, but 2022 was the year of the consumer, and that we needed to be putting the people who are using this stuff at the heart of every decision we made. And I really thought the shows were doing that. So I really enjoyed the shows. And are we going to try and pick out our best bits from the shows? John.
Defo.
My best bit was when I introduced Sarah Sloman on stage and got her employer completely wrong.
Like so wrong as well? So wrong.
Yeah, not a bit wrong, like completely wrong. Brain went into overdrive.
I know, but people often think I work for Pater, which is the contactless card terminal device that goes onto the machines. I actually work for Pay Through. So we do all the clever stuff behind the scenes that makes those payments actually happen, but also apps and white labeling and route finding and geospatial technology. So I'm in my element. I just feel like I've gone back to university and I'm loving every second. It's ace.
Genuinely, my favorite bit was where I met so many people who have watched the EV Cafe from all over the country and all over the world. And they came and said, "Oh, you're taller than you look on screen." No shit.
What, you're not this big?
Somebody else gets that, don't they? Going to talk to him in a minute.
Who else has got some favourite bits?
On that then, Paul, shall we welcome our first guest?
No. We haven't
They've done our best bits.
lots of
We haven't
things.
done our best bits yet.
I haven't done my best bits.
My best bit was just spending good quality time with you lot. And of course, our EV Cafeers.
Well, do you know what? I think there was a number of highlights for me. I got to see some new vehicles that are coming to market, of course. So, the electric transit, which has now finally arrived. That was fantastic. I actually also bumped into Grant Shapps. I knew he was important, but I wasn't quite sure who he was. And so I actually interviewed him, and I said, this is Grant Shapps, the transport secretary, right? That's right, isn't it? You are the transport secretary. He went, yeah, that's who I am. I went, great, that's really good. But then we had a chat, but the video didn't come out very well. But we had a chat, so I managed to get to talk to Grant Shapps.
Did he resign after that? Did he resign?
Yeah, no, he said, that's it. There's been a new low point in my life. I need counselling and help.
But Grant Shapps knew who you were, Paul, of course.
Of course. He goes, Paul, you're that guy off LinkedIn. Cafe. That's right.
Do you know what I always get is, I didn't know you were on the EV Cafe. And I always go, I'm the one with the long hair.
Well, I can't believe you got an audience of Grant Shapps. You have any idea how hard that is? And then you just stumbled across it. It's ridiculous.
Well, the funny thing was, chatting with Ollie Crawn at DPE. Yeah. And then he walked past me, and Ollie went, oh, gosh, I had to jump in there. I said, oh, why is that then? He said, oh, that's Grant Shapps. And I was like, oh, look, we got Carlo. Excellent. That was Grant Shapps. And I was like, oh, right, well, I'm going to go and talk to him then. He said, oh, I should have got a picture with him. And I said, well, I'm going to go and get an interview. And just jump right in. It was
Paul's opening line with Grant Shapps.
No. Who are you?
Can I do my favorite bits?
Yes.
I've got two quick ones. The first one was I don't know whether Charlie Cook is in the audience today, but I shared the stage with him and Robert Llewellyn talking about EVs at Fully Charged Live, and he kindly offered to pour me a glass of water and missed the glass completely in front of several hundred people, and that was extremely funny at precisely the wrong time when it shouldn't be. But thanks for that, Charlie. And then the other one, and it's just a nice segue into our first guest, I believe, is when Dean Hedger sat on stage at the ITT Hub and said, "My name's Dean and I drive a hybrid." Which he quickly caveated with his next car's electric, and that's fine. But that did make me smile.
Can I share my low point from the shows? Not my highlights.
Bring down the tone. Go on then.
So it's actually where I stayed that night.
Oh. Listen, I can trump that. I can trump that. Listen, I turned up at my hotel, bed and breakfast place, to find a drug-addled, drunk person in a stupor on the floor of my
drug-addled.
Sarah promised she wouldn't do that anymore.
It was a monster moment. I was like, oh god.
Oh, I had two beds, mate. You could have come and joined me.
Well, I know, but I just
anyway.
Anyway,
on that note, it's definitely time to now welcome our first guest for today's session. He's much taller in real life. He is a regular of the EV Cafe. I'd say he's pretty infamous, and crucially a sponsor of the EV Cafe. And without those sponsors, we wouldn't be able to attend events like this one. So, Sam, would you like to welcome the first guest for today?
I can indeed. Dean is an experienced sales manager in the automotive industry with a deep knowledge of commercial vehicles and the public sector marketplace.
Reading that.
I know
I'm reading that, Sam.
His specialities include, and this is from his own profile, are you ready? Relationship builder, tender production, contract negotiation, contract implementations, account management, sales team leadership, knowledge of the public sector, commercial vehicles, electric vehicles, automotive industry, vehicle funding, and car sharing.
He's just a big bloke from the AA.
Yeah.
And
is there anything he doesn't do?
Is that his CV?
Stop interrupting. Paul, shut up. Right, working within the automotive industry since the early 1990s, he is indeed as old as he sounds. Nevertheless, he is a much loved and key figure on our industry and has always been a huge supporter of the EV Cafe. And us all as individuals as well, actually. So for that, we shall be eternally grateful. Dean, make it good. Over to you.
I think your intro's longer than what I've got to say.
Longer than you, though.
Sam gets paid by the word, apparently.
Yeah,
I do now. At this point, I do. Yeah.
I need to qualify my my hybrid behaviour as well. Just think that just needs a bit more context to it. It is a plug-in hybrid. It does give me about 25 miles range, which I do charge, and I do drive around sunny Burgess Hill on electric as much as possible. But when I ordered that car back in September 2019, we were in a very different world. And I think, yeah, the the EV acceleration over the last couple of years has been unbelievable. And yeah, absolutely, the next car will be an EV. I've actually got a Kia EV6 coming next week for a few days to demo. So
You like that? It's nice.
yeah.
Did you get to drive that on the EV Rally of Scotland, Dean?
No, I had a Polestar.
Oh, you didn't get out the Polestar the whole time? Ah.
No, I did a Polestar on that. I've got Mustang E on the Great British EV Rally this year, and then the EV6. I'm hoping one of those three will certainly, if I can be fortunate enough to get one of those, then happy days. But anyway, we're not here to talk about my poor behaviour in a hybrid. We're here to talk about the shows. So yeah, look, you guys asked me to drop in, and someone said, tell us all about Rodney. Oh, Simon, you're very good, very good. Yeah, Rodney was the car, my car was named Rodney by my colleague, who I had to borrow her car for a while due to a tyre issue. But because it's a burnt orange colour, she said it was slightly awkward and stands out in a crowd, a bit like me and a bit like Rodney. So there you go. That was why it was called Rodney. Anyway, the shows. So look, it's great to get back on the show horse. ITT Hub with you guys and Fully Charged. We've both been at both events. And I think I would say that it was great to get out and meet people again. Yeah, I have had the conversation of, blimey, you're much taller than you are on Teams, definitely. And our feedback, I think, Fully Charged had a real buzz to it. Probably shouldn't say buzz, given it's an electric vehicle show. Vibe, is that that's what the kids say it is, isn't it?
Vibe is good. We like it.
Had a good vibe to it. I was there all day on the Friday, and I wish I could have been there longer. It was fantastic. And I think the buzz around the vibe around that was really down to the growth of EV and the way that the different areas of the industry are all expanding and growing, and so much collaboration across all these different organizations that is all pulling in the same direction. So it's great to see. It was good to meet people. Many I'd only met on Teams previously. And it's good to make new contacts as well, face to face again. But it's funny because you're finding yourself meeting people and agreeing, okay, let's have a Teams and let's talk about what we can do together before you sort of start charging around the country and seeing each other again. So it's almost like a bit of a reverse play as we go back to whatever normal is going to look like. The ITT Hub was bigger this year, noticeably bigger this year. Last year it was very much, I think, a test bed as things got going again. So it was great to see that, and it's great to see the diversity at that event in all the different worlds of transport that's there. Refrigeration, HGV, buses, passenger transport, all those things that Sam said I know about in one place. Fantastic.
Did you find that you were able to learn lots from being at both of the shows? Did it help you in your role in terms of what you do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess I should have said that at the start, shouldn't I? For some of the people that won't know me, my role is business development at the AA. So, with a real focus on taking the AA beyond breakdown. I've been heavily involved in a lot of the associated products and services that we have for fleets, like accident management, incident management developments, SMR with Prestige, but also the EV proposition that we've got now. So we've got some customers on here, I know that use us for a phone-based support service. So that service now is taking around 11,000 calls a month, where we help out charge point operators and their drivers at charge posts need assistance. But that's evolved further, and Paul, you alluded to it yourself, where we've got a field-based proposition now, where we've retrained our fuel assist technicians. They can go out, they can go to charge posts, they can reboot feeder pillars, they can do safe isolation work, they can release stuck cables, and we're starting to get that up and running now with a number of the charge point operators that we work with. So yeah, in a shameless pitch, if anybody's interested in that service, then please get in touch.
Good news there, Dean. Somebody needed to step into that space for sure.
Yeah. So
more than that, somebody needs to step into it and organize it. I mean, there's plenty of companies offering it, but you've got the perfect ecosystem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what we saw with the fuel assist guys, that was a business that is not as busy as it used to be, because there is less diesels on the road, there is less people misfueling. So they were a great it was a great opportunity to retrain those guys. They're all really excited to get stuck in, and we've done a number of site visits with CPOs, familiarization of hardware. So we're in a good place. Taking it back to shows, did you guys want me to announce what's on the horizon?
Yeah,
Well,
what are you going to be going to, mate? Yeah, definitely. What are you looking ahead to?
Yeah, so like I said, it was good to do those last two with you guys, but also really exciting this one. We've got the AA are one of the sponsors of the Electric Avenue at Goodwood this year, the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So from the 23rd to the 26th of June, we will be there with our friends from the EV Cafe who are joining us as well, and also other friends, associates, colleagues, various people within the AA, all across our business, representing B2B, a consumer portfolio, our AA cars colleagues, the driving school. Everybody's going to be represented, and this the Electric Avenue is a real showcase of everything that's being done in the industry on the push towards electrification, and we are really chuffed to be involved.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Last year it was good to see it, and I was really excited. I went all the way there just to see it, and it definitely had quite a buzz about it. But more than that, this year I hope it's bigger. It was great that it had that central focus when there was so many exhibitors around, but it kept getting sort of drowned out by the usual stuff. So I'm hoping it's even bigger with, as you say, interviews and kind of a media-centric spotlight on it this year.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's like we've seen with the other events, Sarah, a broadening of attendees and exhibitors, and I think the Festival of Speed will be no different. I also believe Tucker will be making an appearance, so keep your eyes peeled. But we'll keep him off. We'll keep him off the hill, obviously, because it's not safe for him to be out there amongst all the vehicles.
Is it a life-size Tucker?
I really can't say, John. I really can't say. Have you been fitted out for the suit? Just checking.
I genuinely have always wanted to be a mascot, and I think if I was going to be any mascot, it would have to be a Tucker suit. Count me in.
Cool. Well, I think that's it for me, guys. Any more for any more?
Yeah. So JC, I see that we've got a few questions in our mailroom. Do we want to have a look at those?
Yeah. Lewis Norton has been prolific, but AA specific questions. How do the AA handle EV breakdowns from a flat battery, the most regular cause of a breakdown in an EV? Since they can't be towed, are they just transported to a charging point? And additionally, does the AA expect an increase in call-outs whilst drivers adjust to EV ranges? Dino, go.
Oh, okay. I'm going to answer that question in the context of a flat high voltage system as opposed to flat battery, because flat battery in our world is the 12-volt battery, which is the main call out. But Lewis, to answer your question, last year we did 3 million call outs, 3.1 million call outs. 38,000 of those were to pure electric vehicles, and only 4% of those were to people with a flat high voltage system. And then when you dig into that, some people were calling us up just because it had a message to say the system was going to go flat. It isn't actually that many that run out. What we do to deal with those is we have something called a freewheeling hub, which is a device that will fit to the wheels of the vehicle. I'm cutting this very short here. Fit to the wheels of the vehicle, basically disconnect the drive from the motor and allow that vehicle to be towed. That's one way we deal with them. We can also recover them if they're too heavy to be towed. But yeah, that's where we are at the minute. We are looking at developments of onboard charging as well. There'll be something coming along their lines late this year, but that, as you can tell with the context, there isn't that many based on what we get called out to. So we'll see. We've got an eye on the developments for that for the future. I hope that answers your question.
It answers it very nicely, mate. Well done. Nigel John Wilson, all the way from Spanish Spain. He asks about the total cost of ownership. So perhaps you could explain what that is, the TCO, but he says, do you think that the average consumer in the UK takes TCO into account when considering a new vehicle or just the sticker price?
I don't think that the average consumer takes into account TCO. I think that's very much a kind of fleet view. And I think that TCO can be measured in a few different ways. And it almost needs constant refreshing with the way that fuel prices have increased and electric prices have increased, and the way insurance premiums are changing all the time. It's a moving target. So yeah, no, I don't think consumers do. You know, we've done consumer surveys where we've looked at reasons why people have bought EVs, and the TCO is not up there. No.
Dean, I mean, you've been in leasing, as have I, and we are very guilty of not pitching the total cost of ownership. What we do, or usership in the case of leasing, of course, but we stick to the sort of pounds per month price. We don't say, I mean, like we've got a few protagonists on the market now, such as Onto and others that Onto, Elmo, and different ones, and we're seeing all-in numbers, which are really helpful. But I think people are sort of frightened off by this big number, because I can get something, you know, there it is £600, there it is £350. Well, I'll go and have the £350 and then pay the other £255 somewhere else, you know, and we don't do the maths together, do we?
People don't take into account depreciation, Paul. You know, people who buy a car do not take depreciation in as one of their running costs.
No.
Fundamentally, and that's a massive part of a good, you know, TCO calculation. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul. Right, time for one more.
We've got
Time
for one more.
John,
Simon Whittle.
John,
Yes,
John,
mate.
can I just make a quick point on the TCO point that
Of
Dean
course.
made as well? I think that he's right that it's often been a metric that fleets have used, but it's absolutely vital that everybody uses it now. Everyone needs to understand what the running costs are of their vehicle, you know, and how much cheaper it is, albeit electricity prices are going up. It's disproportionate to petrol. So we need to make sure people understand that you don't look at the individual price in its own right, because we need to factor in the fuel cost or electricity cost to go with it. Plus, a quick plug, no pun intended, you know, GridService Leasing has a calculator on the website, so you can actually put this information in and indeed calculate what it really translates to in pounds and pence in regards to whether it's an ICE version, internal combustion engine vehicle, or an electric vehicle, and the costs and running costs attributed to it.
And Sam, that for me is the key, that we as the industry, the industry side of it, need to make it easy for the consumer and make it really clear and transparent, so that they understand that actually we're looking at a different thing now, because we've not changed our practice as an industry other than in small pockets. We are still promoting a sticker price. We're still promoting, we're not promoting a cost per mile. We're not promoting a total cost of using the vehicle or things like that. And that's the bit where we, instead of going the cheapest price wins, let's give the complete transparent picture so that people can rely upon that.
I think it's ticket
cost of
ownership.
Yeah.
We've spoken a lot about TCO in terms of fuel cost savings, but there are some other additional savings to be made.
Yeah.
So whether you're operating within a congestion or ULEZ zone today, or maybe you might operate one in the future, tax and all those incentives as well for the business and the actual driver and operator themselves. So just to highlight, it's not just focused on fuel, it's the whole piece. Oh, my table's moving now. Right. Okay, so thank you, Dean. Please do stay on. I'm sure there'll be some more questions for you shortly, but it is time to introduce our next guest. So Sam, you can bring up your notes, your script, and introduce us.
Right there.
Did anyone see Sam get the sellotape out? That's how professional things are today. That's a printed sheet of paper and sellotape happening right now.
Do you know, I tell you why I do that. That's because in the past, Johnny has spotlighted people and it makes my screen change. And halfway through an introduction like that.
Such a good point.
So that's why I print it off, to stop Jonny Berry screwing me halfway through the introduction.
Well, I've learnt Jonny Berry's ways now. I'm ready for the quickest news transition ever today. We'll see.
When you're reading something and he basically turns your screen off remotely.
Well, yeah, obviously, I know. Yeah.
Sam, I could also mute you as well. So
yeah.
Power games today, people. Power games.
Yeah. Yeah, not 2020 called Johnny, and they want their joke back, but
Said
Right.
the 1970s hairstyle. Move on.
Rich coming from someone without. Anyway, who is it? Carlo next, is it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
What a pro.
Carlo Zoccali is venue director at Farnborough International and oversees Farnborough's non-aerospace portfolio, including ITT Hub, of course. He's a committed and active member within the events industry and active in several leading industry trade associations. A past president of the ILEA UK, which, before Paul acronym police Kirby gets me, is the International Live Events Association. Carlo has a passion for the events industry, how he can use events to engage, be creative, offer brand insights, and create unforgettable memories. He has also been, alongside Mark Griffin, a huge proponent of the EV Cafe, particularly with our involvement in the ITT Hub over the last 2 years. So very grateful for all your help with us, Carlo, and over to you. Welcome to our merry band for the day.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So what have you got to share with us?
So yeah, I guess look, this time last week we were live and ITT Hub. So it's a week now of digest and take stock and where we're basically aiming for the future. If I look at my whiteboards around my office, that's pretty much what it looks like now. And 2023 planning is full underway. But the first thing I want to do is, I guess, reflect on where we were this year, and where we built from 2021. So we ran in July 2021, and we bought the show from Mark Griffin and his team at the end of the 2021 event. Really saw its opportunity and how it also aligns with the Farnborough brand. So Farnborough International, owners of the famous Farnborough Air Show. We've got our own problems with decarbonisation in the air, so we thought we'd try and solve it on the ground first of all and help the community do that. We had a vast range of products on site, and it was fantastic to see. And I think it was great to hear, earlier with Dean talking about the show, and there was a huge buzz around it this year, and it was great to see. If we look at, we had 2 days of really engaged content, whether it be in the Logistics UK theatres, the Energy Hub theatres, Talent Hub, and obviously not forgetting you guys in the EV Cafe. And for us, that's, that vibe around that community is so important. And we're building this show on community. It's fast becoming that annual meeting place for the industry to showcase projects, and also major industry announcements. If you look at, Renault with their new e-mobility concept, the e-tech master optimodal, I just wanted to have a go at the drone, I think, and see how it could potentially park up at Southampton and fly over to the Isle of Wight with my package from Amazon, or if it was, Wrightbus and the Volgreen Australia announcement. These are the things that we're now starting to see come through at ITT Hub, and to see us as being the catalyst, the base of where people want to make those sort of announcements is really, really strong. And it's only where we want to take the future of our event. And, at the end of day one, we had the drinks reception, which, I was probably worried in the morning thinking, is anybody actually going to turn up? I've got all this alcohol, all this food, and, to then look across a sea of, just shy of 300 people was phenomenal. And I think, with everything we've gone through, we had masks on at the show last year, and, where we were, and, fighting for, who could actually exhibit, what manufacturers were allowed to exhibit, because, a lot of them were given clear directives that they couldn't come, even though they'd signed up. So that was a challenge, and, to have them back together this year, and, great to see 16 OEM manufacturers here, over 120 exhibitors. For me, that was, really starting to see, the difference and the challenges. But, having Trudy Harrison walk around on day 2, really getting to see the, the ins and outs of what they're doing, making huge announcements of, continuing that HGV fund of 200 million, to really sort of make sure that research is happening and the buy-in from government. And, she was really engaged as well, and that was probably the best part for us to see, is how interested she was in what we're doing and what our industry are doing. Because at the end of the day, it's, all we are doing is giving a base for the industry to talk about themselves, but I just want to make it the best base possible.
How many exhibitors did you have?
So we had 120 exhibitors.
Amazing.
That's amazing. I think one thing, Carlo, for me was the day before your event started. I was very privileged to have been invited to a think tank with Renault Trucks the day before, and it were 2 things struck me when we were the terrace at the end of this the day before the show. One was the amusement factor of watching Paul Kirby run around like a blue-ass fly while I was tipping a beer on the top of the building. That was nice. But more importantly was just the depth and broadness of all the vehicles that you could see from that high viewpoint across the whole forecourt there. From all the lorries, the coaches, the vans, just this huge depth. I'm just thinking, 5-10 years ago, that just didn't exist. And here they are, all laid out, all on display for us all to see. I just think it just goes to show the progression even over the last few years has been phenomenal.
Can I quickly make a suggestion?
Yep.
JC, would it be worth playing the video again from the introduction, especially for those that have just joined potentially, so they could see a glimpse of what the ITT Hub's all about?
Whilst
also
I
an
do
amazing
that,
one.
whilst I do that, I think one of the things which was really important for me was not the technology, actually. It was the people. It was the fact that we had the community were all there. And it didn't matter whether you rode an electric scooter right through to drove a massive truck as an electric vehicle. We all had something in common. And that was that we all support what the ITT Hub does, but actually we all support each other. And this is a people business. It's not a technology business. People will find a way.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it was really interesting, in some of the deals that were being done at the show, they weren't always necessarily with visitors, they were with other exhibitors, and that collaboration in our industry, whether it's, Michelin, talking about new launches with them or actually talking to a manufacturer about what they're going to be helping them with, and that for me is, one of the main elements of why this show exists. It is to try and put that community together, but how we can put it together with all of the things they want to talk about, but also making it really affordable. Because I think that's one of the things, amount of shows I've been at over the years and, launch shows and things like that. And it costs you so much to exhibit, the time and effort. You talked about Paul running around, and it was between me and him trying to work out how we're going to start Bradshaw's and move DPD vehicles and things like that. But, and I think, that resonates through the whole of our team here at Farnborough, and that's the benefit where we are now a much bigger team that, can really start to put a lot more energy into this show and be passionate about what we're trying to drive, because there's a lot of work to done in decarbonising fleet, and on that road stuff, and it's great to see what, National Grid are challenging around their concepts, what Zenobia are doing around, their elements as well. But just to see all of that in one place with so many people and, I think I had a tear in my eye about 11 o'clock and that's, looking down the gangway and just seeing it full of people talking. And that was just amazing to see.
Yeah. Carlo, let's play the video. Let's show people what it was like.
Welcome to the ITT Hub 2022.
So I'm Carlo Zoccali, I'm show director here at ITT Hub.
Paul was talking to a couple of guys from Renault. 2 years ago, they were nowhere. Now, 26-ton truck in 2 years. The technology is here now. Why is it that the government target for reducing emissions from the heavy sector is to have those polluting vehicles out by 2035? The government needs to do more. And I know that's going to be painful, but not half as painful as climate change if we get this wrong.
So do tell me, Graham, what on earth are National Grid doing at the ITT Hub here in Farnborough?
The energy system is the cleanest it's ever been, and it's getting cleaner. But it's getting cleaner mainly by variable renewables, so wind and solar. Because now the grid isn't perfectly clean. We will be clean as a completely clean grid by 2035. So people talk about net zero in 2050. My world is 2035, right?
Check it out, people. Check it out. That was brilliant, Carlo.
I just realised I'm wearing the same outfit as I wore then as I'm wearing now. So anyway,
yeah, your collar's still sticking out, Jonny, as well.
Need to get the iron over that a bit more. Anyway, I just want to say thank you, Carlo, and a big thanks for letting us be part of such a great and important event. And if any of our audience have any questions for Carlo, then you know what to do. JC will address those questions in the mail room shortly. Carlo and Dean, please do stay on or come back on, Dean, whilst we welcome our final guest speaker for today. Sam, would you like to do the honours?
Oh, yeah, and it is an honour.
Here's the wallflower.
I really want to say live in the vida loca. I don't know why.
Yeah, okay, Richie. How do I describe Richie? Well, firstly, I looked up his profile on LinkedIn and it's really boring. So I decided I'd forget that and write something else. So
Definitely.
more pertinent, I think, than his LinkedIn profile is that despite his small stature and mediocre looks, he makes up for all of this with unrelenting charm, humor, passion, and enthusiasm, throwing everything, absolutely everything, into everything he does. I only met this guy properly at Fully Charged this year when he asked for my autograph and a selfie. But I could tell straight away that the industry has got quite a character in its midst. And Richie, it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last few weeks. And over to you, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, mate. And hello to everyone and everyone else who's linked in with us as well. I think Carlo's kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I think, with regards to community and what have you, I think I'm working in the industry for such a short time, but working in events for such a long time, I've really noticed a wholesale change here. I think one of the biggest factors with regards to events in particular, ITT Hub I went to, which is fantastic. You guys at the EV Cafe absolutely smashed it as well. But, with our show at Fully Charged, it was that community spirit. It wasn't just about the visitors coming in, thirsty for knowledge, already, armed with knowledge, but thirsty for more. But it was the collaboration between everyone. We're all seem to be pulling in the same direction. And I think that's absolutely unique. It's fascinating. It's fascinating with the united sort of cause that we've got. We were really lucky. We apart from experiencing every single weather type over the 3 days, we enjoyed a huge amount of visitor interaction. We had about nearly 23,500 visitors over the 3 days. I mean, you just try and get your head around that. I mean, in my spare time, there's very few spare time I get. I go fishing, and I go to fishing shows because it says fishing above the door. Everybody that came to our show is interested in clean energy and electric vehicles. So we've got no tire kickers out there, nobody that shouldn't be there. Everybody was relevant, everybody was important, every voice is important as well. So 23,222 to be precise. And if you add all the exhibitors in there, we would have smashed probably 24, just 24,500 people. Now I can't really think of an event, with so many people there, all thinking on the same page. Carlo's show was fantastic, and to mimic that, to compare it, we had 200 plus exhibitors at our show, and that also ranged from a unicycle to Dennis Eagle's bin lorry, and I think each is equally valuable. Our audience comes in there into the show, and they look around, and they're on the edge of finding out their next step. It's not just what they do now. People are very, very informed in our industry, which is great. And I think it's part of the DNA of the people that are into it. So, but they want to know what's next. What's the future? What's the next 5 years look like? What's the next 10 years look like? Even what's the next 5 minutes look like? And I think that's where exhibition events, I think that's where they come into their own. Looking online, looking at brochures, looking at those types of things is a fantastically useful way of finding information and getting involved in information. But it's paper and pen and it's images. Okay, but getting hands-on, like I like to get hands-on, getting hands-on with people like yourself, getting hands-on with people and the industry, I think it's got to be the way. Why not get on a bus? Why not, have a go with the bin lorry? Why not have, be part of the virtual reality? Get into the plane. Don't just look at the plane, look at what's new. Look at all the different chargers are out there. Look at the next thing, the bendy charger, you name it. It was there, and people walk around the corner of our show, and there were a lot of corners, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of partners. And they looked around the corner. They weren't really sure what to see next. And that was the fantastic part about it. And we anchored that with some absolutely incredible theatres. All of you guys there, I think you've all got involved in panel discussions. And when I went in there, the wealth of knowledge between you guys is staggering. And you're right. My LinkedIn profile is significantly more boring than all of yours. So, but when I went into the theatres and listened to people like, Curbs and Sarah talking, you sit in awe with this, and so does the audience, and the audience is there, and they're thirsty for that next step, that next knowledge, and what have you. So, I'd like to just make a huge shout out to absolutely every single individual that made the effort to come to our show. Okay, everybody, Every single person, from the little kid that was playing with the octopus, throwing it around, cuddly toy, throwing it around, to the business guy that signed up the deal that was like 100 bikes over the next 2 years. Every single one is equally important to me. I suppose my job, I mean, maybe I'm getting paid by the minute here, but my job is to add flavour and colour, whatever you want to do. Add flavour and colour to events. It's an exciting enough industry, but what we do at Fully Charged is we make sure that we do it with pizzazz. Yeah, we do it, and we're showmen. Give me like a crushed red velvet jacket and a high hat and call me the showman. But that's what we have to do to make sure.
Sam Clark.
We all thought you were genuinely taking the mick out of his actual red velvet crushed jacket.
Yeah,
we call him
Sam.
Bellboy. You can
Yes.
call him whatever you like.
I've actually seen that. You have to
Richie,
lend it to me. It might be a bit longer than sleep, mate.
Apparently, you're
A
the
bit tight on the
smartest
shoulders.
dressed man, according to Sam Rawson as well.
Say again.
You're the smartest dressed man, according to Sam Rawson in the chat box.
Oh,
Who?
wow, there you go.
Gee.
Me? Oh, there you go. Not bad. Not bad.
Everyone's crazy for that sharp-dressed man.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
Richie, when I did my panel session, Rob asked the show of hands out the audience how many people came in an EV or otherwise, and the show of hands was 50-50, which I thought was really interesting. I was expecting it to be, because we've always wondered, is it preaching to the converted? Is it, is it very niche? And it is, it's a small industry still, but it's growing so quickly. But to know that half of the audience, and there was sort of, I don't know how many hundred people were there, but certainly in the theatres, I think half of them are going to be leaving with loads of EV knowledge in their brains that they perhaps didn't arrive with. I think it's just such a fantastic thing to be able to do. So long may that continue.
Yeah, I mean, going on from that, is that, last year we did some really clever, or clever people than I did, some really good sort of post-show research. Okay, and when you do that, it gives you a brilliant insight into what your audience want and expect. So as somebody who's creating a show, that kind of steers my ship. So give them what they want, is a really good mantra to sort of have. But with 50% of the audience putting their hands up, then you've got a 50% audience that are, I'll use the word thirsty again, thirsty for their next step. But the post-show the research said that 85% of the people that came to Fully Charged, not this year because we haven't got the post-show research, but the year before, 85%, their next vehicle purchase was going to be an EV. Okay, so all of a sudden you can see where the shift will be. So come 2023, those stats might be even better. You'll be presenting in the theatre hopefully next year, and then you'll be asking a similar question. And let's have a look how many hands go up then.
Right, Mr. Smart Dressed Man.
How does that sit with you guys? Look at you all, eh?
You fit right in, Richie. You fit right in, mate. Right, so EV Cafes, we have Dean, Carlo and Richie all on the call. So do get your questions in the chat box. But in the meantime, we will go to the news round section of the show. We'll go live to Sarah in the studio in just a moment while she prepares herself. So yeah. But don't forget, at 1 o'clock, we don't have a hard stop. We do go into the EV takeaway or EV cafe after hours, so we can continue the conversation there. And as I'm at the AFP, and so is Paul, we might take the opportunity to grab some people from the AFP to come and have a chat with us as well online. So Sarah, there you are, live from the studio. What's going on in the world today?
Oh no, it's all gone so wrong. Unmute myself. That's what I need to do, is unmute myself. And I've got a new toy. I'm about to play with it. Okay.
Stop, delete, stop.
Okay, welcome. I'm Sarah Sloman. It's lunchtime and it's the 90-second news. Whilst the EV Cafe community still wait for a poll, as we promise one every month, I bring you 3 real stories from the EV world of today. Firstly, Volkswagen pledges to build 800,000 EVs by the end of 2022, and this comes as part of their environmental and financial strategy. 70% will be manufactured here in Europe, and if they can create the buzz around this, they will overtake Tesla as the world's largest EV maker in 2025. I'm so glad you got that. Highly reliable news outlet, the Metro, #RushHourCrush, never featured on that, really want to, shared the exciting announcement that Portugal has just plugged in Europe's largest floating solar power plant. The array contains 12,000 panels, equivalent to 4 football pitches, and so long as it wasn't commissioned by the same people that did that Ronaldo Cristiano background, then we'll be fine. Do you remember that? The bronze statue was taken down from the airport, and I'm hoping that the manufacturing quality of the plant will be better. It is produced to set 25 gigawatt hours of electricity a year. Lastly, current news reports that 10% of the grid capacity will be provided by using battery storage by 2030 at an estimated cost of £20 million. Tom Edwards from Cornwall Insight explains that batteries are essential to unlock and enable stability and flexibility to allow renewables to have a greater impact on our grid. But we've just got back from the ITT Hub and we're off to the commercial vehicle show to ogle at things like vans and trucks. So if only we knew of a van man, a #van geek, Mr. Paul Kirby, the very one who can tell us more about an exciting joint venture with Ford and VW. Back to the studio, Paul. What do you make of this announcement for the Ford Transit Custom?
Yes, you got that absolutely right, Sarah. The Ford Transit Custom has just been announced. I was full of despair 18 months ago when they announced the Ford E-Transit, the big one, because they said it would be 18 months away. Oh, look, there we go. But it came, and it came in good form, and I've recently driven it, and I've got to say it's an exceptional van. So I am very optimistic for this Transit Custom. The Transit Custom is currently the biggest selling vehicle across all vehicle types. Now, they only produce a diesel version at the moment, although there is a sort of FEV version. But to have it fully electric is a really great piece of news, because so many people will have an affinity with that van already and will trust it. And it looks like it's going to have a good range, good charging speed, all of those things, which will make it an exciting proposition. And talking of exciting propositions, the commercial vehicle show is coming.
Do you think, is it going to be there? Because I know Ford are a big part of the ITT Hub, but is it going to be at the commercial vehicle show? Will we actually get in it? It annoys me when the vans aren't even open.
Yeah, so that the Ford Transit, the big one, will be there, and you will be able to get in it and look at it because it's now out on the road. But the Transit E-Custom will be some time yet. But the sad thing is that the commercial vehicle show doesn't have as many manufacturers there this year as it has done in the past, and there's actually no truck manufacturers there this year that I could tell anyway. So I'm optimistic that there'll be pivoting going on, and hopefully they'll bring a rabbit out of a hat for me, because commercial vehicle show has been an important staple of the landscape for some time. So let's hope that we get lots of energy from that show too.
Why use one word when 472 will do?
Was it only 472? 500.
I need to put it in a spreadsheet to send to Sam so he can pay the bill.
Yes.
JC, we've got
mate.
7 minutes left. It looks like we've got 10 questions in the chat box. Do we want to have a look at that together and see if we can get some answers?
And don't forget, we've got after hours if anybody wants to stay on and talk a little more behind the scenes.
Because it all gets loose then, real loose.
Yes.
Okay, Paul Barnfather, at Fully Charged, it seems that people were really enjoying the experiences, getting their hands on cars, driving them. What hands-on experience should we be offering at future shows? What do you think people want to try out? I guess, let's start with Richie. Richie, my man, what you got for us?
Well, I don't know. We're looking at it now. I think what we want to do is we want to shape the show. So I think, that sort of visitor experience is what it's all about. So I think, My Energy did a really good thing. I think you guys there had it at ITT, the golf course and what have you. I think although it's quite a gimmicky sort of thing, it does get people involved. And then as a sidetrack to that, you do absorb the knowledge. But I think there's lots of fun to be had, and I think if we can mix a serious message with some fun, I think that's the key.
Got to keep the F word. Agree with you
That's
entirely,
EV
Michael
Cafe,
Barton. Say what?
That summarises the EV Cafe, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully. Michael Barton, why is there such a massive wait for e-transits, Paul? Not enough supply, too much demand?
Yeah, Paul.
It's probably the latter mixed with the former. So there is already a lot of demand for that van, and there's some big orders. DPD have ordered 1,000, and there are lots more big orders in the pipe for that vehicle. But of course, we have got serious supply shortages, as has been commented in the Association of Fleet Professionals conference here this morning by Duncan Webb of ISS, was showing that as a major concern, and it could even impact people's targets in terms of decarbonising their fleets.
I think I found a winner of the mug for today. Melanie Graddon has dropped into the Q&A box, and she's asked about hydrogen. Oh, welcome, because we don't have a hydrogen strategy in the UK because, well, it's only just been invented. What? Get your fingers out. Anyway, Melanie asks, she's interested in hydrogen infrastructure plans, a new battery technology, aluminium, sodium. When do you think that they will be fully viable? Well, hydrogen in buses.
Tim Campbell, isn't it?
Well, do we? We had Tim Campbell at the ITT Hub. And what was Tim saying, Paul? Because you were paying attention.
I was talking to him. So he was saying that, yes, the battery chemistry is changing, definitely changing and moving to this sodium phosphate because obviously it's more renewable, coming away from lithium and cobalt and moving towards that kind of battery chemistry. There's still some challenges around efficiency for that battery chemistry. I'm regurgitating Tim here. And also what we've seen is that the move does not seem to be towards hydrogen by any of the OEMs, so by the manufacturers, the original equipment manufacturers. It seems to be towards electric, up to things like bin lorries, as Richie mentioned. And of course, we had trucks at the ITT Hub with Renault trucks being there with 26-ton trucks, 18-ton trucks, DAF with the same. So everything which we didn't expect is actually happening down the electric road, but there was hydrogen there with buses at the ITT Hub as well.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting at Fully Charged Live, because we did a stage presence with we had Robert Llewellyn and Kate Tyrrell from Charge Safe, and also LV were there as well. Who else? And Tom Callow. And the whole point was, it was about fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I'd say we spent half the time taking questions from the audience about hydrogen. So whatever's happening out there, we can't ignore it, because it does have a place. But the kind of conclusion was, provided that energy is green in order to create the hydrogen, it kind of makes sense. And I cited some really good examples of some sort of Scottish ferries that they only ever intended to have one, but they produced so much green hydrogen that they ended up with 3 or plus, with aspirations to go further. So it has a place. I'm glad it was featured, but you cannot deny the electrification.
I think the reality is that in small stuff, the answer is probably never. Hydrogen just doesn't suit small vehicles, and it might suit the larger ones. And even some of the automotive OEMs that I spoke to in the last few weeks have said that whilst they'll look at it, it's still fundamentally an electric vehicle. So the focus on it being a pure electric vehicle to begin with. And if there's an opportunity to put green hydrogen and then range extend it by virtue of that technology in the future, great. But we've got to focus on batteries at the moment, because the reality is we're running out of time, and we've got the technology today to deliver a zero emission transport network. Hydrogen is not today, it's very many years in the future, and that's too late anyway.
Speaking of running out of time, Sam, we are running out of time. Paul, very quickly.
Super quick. I see the combination of fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell with battery technology being a real option. Teva are coming to market with it very, very soon, and extending a 200-kilometer range vehicle to 450-kilometer range vehicle, with taking out 30 kilowatts of the battery and putting in a 15-kilo hydrogen fuel cell. That feels like it could be a really good hybrid.
Super duper. Sam's not convinced.
We'll see, Sam. It's weight and range. Weight and range. It's commercial vehicles, not cars. It's important.
Yeah, weight and range, fool.
Is there a poll we're going to launch?
Oh,
well, seeing as we promise it all the time, I think we really should do a poll.
JB likes a poll.
Who is right?
But who's right on what? I mean, I've not even said my point yet.
Well, that's what happened last time, Sam, but you didn't complain.
Yeah, you got your opportunity whilst the poll's live, Sam. You got the opportunity.
It's live. Look at this. 5 each.
Go.
It's not as they come to the final furlong. It's Paul in the lead with Sam in second place. Neither is coming up to the lead with the 21. Oh, and Paul has now taken a late lead. He's coming up to the final furlong, and as he gets there, it's 21 across the 10. And Paul crosses the line, and it's 22 out of 47 votes cast. Paul,
Sam's catching up.
Paul Kirby is going to win.
I've not even said anything yet.
This is amazing. 22 to 18. Does anybody fancy Sam? No, nobody does.
The race. I haven't said anything
No, Paul is still there. Paul is still leading the race. He's a bit of an old donkey, but he is going to win this race today, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Kirby is.
Well done, Paul. Yeah.
Hang on, it's not over.
For once in my life, Paul Kirby is a winner.
Sam, do you want to have an opportunity to sell yourself?
I don't see as much point really, is there? If I'm not going to be in the race,
quite right, Sam. There is no point in you selling yourself.
No, I mean I'll just win again, so there's not much point. So you take the win, Paul.
45 to 38%.
But I didn't even say anything. What does that say?
Come on,
45 to 38.
How does that work? That's not even 100%.
Because we've got a neither.
Because
as well.
there's 18%, which is neither.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, you lot need to get off the fence.
Come on, that's it. We've had our time with these wonderful people who've no doubt got the rest of their day.